In a future where humanity has unraveled the deepest secrets of consciousness, each day brings a new discovery and a new enigma. My name is Dr. Michael Carter, one of the pioneers in consciousness transfer technology. For years, I have dedicated myself to this field, with each step bringing us closer to unlocking the mysteries of the human mind. However, navigating the boundless sea of consciousness has never been without its perils. My journey into the world of consciousness began in my early childhood. I grew up in a family of scientists, with my father being a renowned neurologist. I remember sneaking into his study, fascinated by the brain scans and neurological charts that adorned the walls. The human mind, with all its complexities and mysteries, became an obsession. This fascination only grew stronger during my years at university, where I delved into the realms of neuroscience and artificial intelligence. One morning, as the first light of dawn seeped through the laboratory windows, I awoke with an uneasy feeling in my chest and a vague sense of dread in my mind. The cold, sterile corridors of the lab echoed with my footsteps as I walked, my thoughts a whirlwind of anticipation and fear. Where would this technology lead us? Exploring the darkest corners of consciousness sometimes required confronting one's own shadowy depths. The first signs of trouble appeared as small anomalies during the transfer process. Subjects exhibited strange changes when their consciousness was transferred to new bodies, sometimes fits of rage, other times inexplicable fears. These changes hinted at a dark aspect of the technology that we had yet to fully understand. Each anomaly was a crack in the facade of our creation, a whisper of something lurking beneath the surface. One day, during a routine experiment, something alarming happened. One of the subjects emerged from the transfer with a completely altered personality. The darkness in his eyes filled the entire lab with an eerie chill. This was not a simple error, the dark side of consciousness was beginning to surface. The subject, once calm and composed, now seethed with a primal fury, his eyes glinting with a malevolence that seemed to pierce through to my very soul. Following this incident, my team and I delved deeper into our research. We discovered that the dark sides of consciousness were reflections of repressed emotions and deepest fears. This darkness, when unleashed during the transfer, became uncontrollable. Each new discovery pulled us further into a web of questions and dangers. The laboratory, once a place of innovation and hope, now felt like a battleground against an invisible foe. As days turned into weeks, the situation grew worse. More subjects were harmed, more people were forced to confront their inner demons. The government and military intervened, attempting to contain the escalating chaos. But these dark forces were not easily subdued. The world outside the lab began to change, with reports of inexplicable violence and hysteria spreading like wildfire. It was as if the darkness we had unleashed was infecting the very fabric of society. During these turbulent times, I found an unexpected ally in Dr. Emily Parker, a brilliant neuroscientist with a deep understanding of human psychology. Together, we embarked on a quest to uncover the root causes of these dark manifestations. Emily's insights into the human psyche proved invaluable, offering new perspectives on the interplay between consciousness and subconscious fears. One night, as we pored over the data in the lab, Emily shared a theory that sent chills down my spine. "Michael," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "what if these dark sides are not just byproducts of the transfer process? What if they're inherent aspects of our consciousness, amplified by the technology?" Her words resonated deeply with me. The implications were staggering. If Emily was right, our technology wasn't creating these dark sides. It was merely revealing what had always been there, lurking beneath the surface. This realization added a new layer of urgency to our work. We needed to find a way to mitigate these effects, not just for the sake of our technology, but for the future of humanity. As we continued our research, we encountered more individuals whose lives had been turned upside down by their own dark sides. One such case was Jacob, a former soldier who had volunteered for the consciousness transfer to escape the physical trauma of his injuries. Instead of relief, Jacob found himself battling intense episodes of rage and guilt, his mind a battlefield where past traumas played out in horrifying detail. Jacob's case became a focal point of our study. Through extensive sessions with Emily, we began to understand the intricate connections between his traumatic experiences and the dark manifestations. It became clear that our technology was peeling back the layers of the human psyche, exposing raw and unfiltered emotions that had been buried deep within. In one particularly harrowing experiment, we encountered a paradox that defied explanation. Two consciousnesses, one from the present and one from the past, became intertwined in a single body. The subject, a young woman named Sarah, found herself reliving the memories of a life that was not her own. She spoke in an ancient language, described places and events from centuries ago, and exhibited skills and knowledge that she had never learned. This paradoxical phenomenon baffled us, raising questions about the very nature of consciousness and time. In the midst of these revelations, our lab was thrust into the public eye. Media outlets sensationalized the dangers of consciousness transfer, sparking widespread fear and outrage. Protesters gathered outside our facility, demanding an end to our experiments. The government, caught in the crossfire, imposed stricter regulations on our research, adding another layer of complexity to our already challenging work. Despite the mounting pressure, we pressed on. Emily and I developed a new protocol aimed at identifying and addressing potential psychological triggers before the transfer process. This involved rigorous mental health evaluations and therapeutic interventions designed to help individuals confront and manage their inner demons before they could take root in a new consciousness. Implementing this protocol was no small feat. It required a multidisciplinary approach, involving psychologists, therapists, and even spiritual advisors. The process was exhaustive, but the results were promising. Subjects who underwent the new protocol exhibited significantly fewer instances of dark manifestations, and those who did experience them were better equipped to handle the challenges. Gradually, the chaos in society began to subside. People started to regain their trust in our technology, and the hysteria that had gripped the nation slowly dissipated. Jacob, with Emily's help, made remarkable progress, learning to navigate his inner turmoil and find peace within himself. Our journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but it was far from over. We had learned a crucial lesson: consciousness is shaped not only by light but also by darkness. Understanding and controlling this darkness would be one of humanity's greatest challenges. The technology we had created held immense potential, but it also carried the weight of great responsibility. In one of our most daring experiments, we attempted to isolate and study the dark side of consciousness in a controlled environment. The subject, carefully selected for their mental resilience, was connected to a sophisticated array of sensors and monitoring devices. As the transfer began, we observed the emergence of dark thoughts and emotions, mapping their origins and trajectories within the mind. This experiment provided invaluable insights. We discovered that the dark side of consciousness was not a singular entity but a complex network of interconnected fears, traumas, and desires. By understanding these connections, we could develop targeted therapies to address and neutralize the negative aspects before they could manifest in destructive ways. Our story concluded with a hopeful vision of a future shaped by consciousness technology. Yet, the dark sides of consciousness would always lurk somewhere in the shadows, and we would continue to strive to understand them. For in the depths of every mind lies a duality, a balance of light and dark, that defines our very existence. And as long as we remember this, we can forge a path towards a future where both aspects of our nature are acknowledged and embraced.